Let's start with a relatively easy one. So tell me who you are and tell me what you do.
So hi, I'm Vitalik, founder and chief scientist of the Ethereum project, which is meant to be this decentralized platform that has a Bitcoin style blockchain, but which also combines it with a fully featured programming language. It has a system where you have a set of accounts. Every account is kind of like a sort of autonomous agent living on the blockchain. It has its own code, and you can send transactions to agents and their code can execute. So you can think of it as sort of like a decentralized computing environment that people can sort of put in mini agents that sort of live inside of it. And the idea is that this kind of programming environment can be used to simulate a currency, can be used to simulate a domain name registration, can be used to do financial contracts, because you can actually have some of these agents directly control and manipulate currency units. You know, it literally is programmable money, I think, in a way that Bitcoin tried to be but isn't. Cryptocurrency document that I wrote where I identified some hard problems that I saw in the cryptocurrency space. Things like scalability, consensus, and this identity and reputation issue, cryptography, and so forth. And I realized that the cryptocurrency could potentially be much more powerful if these issues were solved, right? So the fundamental problems with consensus right now is that, first of all, there's a sort of expensive factor. And the thing is that some people think that it's sort of expensive in the way that, you know, it's expensive now, but technology is going to get better, miners will get better, it'll get cheaper. But the thing is, no, it's a competitive activity, right? And, you know, it's kind of like military technology. If you give everyone guns that are 10 times more powerful, you're not making the world 10 times better. You're just giving everyone 10 times better guns, and they all cancel each other out because you now have to have your 10x better guns to cancel out other people's 10x better guns. Like, the only point of ASIC miners is to cancel out the bad guys' ASIC miners. And so if ASIC miners keep on getting better, then, and at the same time the system gets more centralized, then, you know, the networks may be qualitatively less secure.
What do you think it's going to take to get it to that point where you walk down the street and 4 of them will have either understand or use on a daily basis or a consistent basis at least?
So sort of the same level of familiarity with cryptocurrency that we now have with the internet?
Yeah.
I think that the Bitcoin bubble is up until this point. I mean, the reason why they've all managed to happen and why each one's managed to be so much bigger than the previous have basically been because it's still, you know, Bitcoin is still growing and it's still like reaching larger and larger groups of people. The thing that was fundamentally different starting from 2014 is that, you know, we've already conquered all the breadth, right? You know, over 50% of the population in the US has heard of Bitcoin. And so in order to make any kind of further gains whatsoever, I think that, you know, we can't do breadth anymore. Like, maybe breadth will buy us another, like, half an order of magnitude, maybe get us a bubble up to $2,000 or $3,000. But, you know, if we want cryptocurrency in general to succeed, you know, we have to go from breadth to going to depth. And what does depth mean? Basically, it means that instead of increasing the number of people that have heard of it, you know, increasing the level of involvement of each individual person. And the thing is that in order to get the depth, you have to actually, like, you can get to one level of depth by being interesting. You can get to another level of depth by being really exciting. In order to have really serious depth, you need practical applications. You need people to be actually using it because, you know, not just because they ideologically really care about, you know, decentralization, but because, hey, here's the technology, it solves the problem that I have. So eventually a practical application is going to come. With cryptography and cryptoeconomics, what I'm seeing is basically a way of ensuring very, very high free entry, but at the same time still maintaining a higher degree of trust. You know, these different ideas that cryptocurrency fundamentally depends on. You know, these ideas that, for, you know, this concept of free entry markets is a genuinely valid path that has the ability to substantially increase efficiency in society. You have this, you have this idea that the kind of personal freedom that cryptocurrency technologies embody is good and is heavily desired by people. You You have some of the economic ideas. You have some of these other sort of side projects that cryptocurrencies like sneaking in, like the idea that, hey, we should really be using public key cryptography to secure payments instead of this absurd credit card mechanism where you sort of do your private use, basically give merchants your private key. That's literally what credit card payments are like. And you have all of these things, and it's not really, and there's going to be a lot of interplay between them. It's not really clear how well any of them is going to do. I mean, in some cases it's multiplicative. In some cases it's also weird because it's kind of additive in that, if at least one of these different directions succeeds, cryptocurrency is going to get somewhere. If two of them succeed, it's going to be 10 times bigger. If three of them succeed, it's going to be 100 times bigger. If all of them succeed, then the government's going to be a DAO, and theoretically we'll all be either all be in a utopia, or maybe the DAO is just going to turn against us and kill all of us with drones. And then for some reason the governance algorithm just forgot to care about everything after block 232, and so it doesn't really matter. The DAO just forgot to care about the fact that only humans to maintain it. So at this point, all I know is that what I'm focusing on is just trying to improve the technology, trying to get cost of consensus down, and trying to say, if this stuff is going to be valuable at all, then these are the things that it needs to be viable. Let's try and get to them. That's one component. The other component is, it's important not to try to say, well, we have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is perfect now, and let me come up with some crazy hand-twisting arguments for why things have to be exactly the way they are here. It's a matter of, it's the first implementation of a technology. It's a revolutionary paradigm shift. It also got some things wrong. Let's step back, let's take a fresh look, and let's see what we can improve. And yeah, hopefully something's going to come out of this.